All right, good morning. We are going to go through the Iowa Learning Online Psychology collaboration project. The project itself is a semester-long project that you will work with students from, hopefully, from other schools to force you to work online. It is a goal of Iowa Learning Online that you learn kind of the basics of how to work in a collaboratively online environment, notably because you're going to be doing this in some way, shape, or form in your adult career. I find a lot of times that I'm collaborating with people, with teachers from other countries and things, and it's really exciting to have that in our future, but you get to play with it here and learn how to do that. So as I set you up in your groups, I will be purposefully putting you into groups that are across schools. There are times that I have too many kids from one specific school, and so you will maybe be matched with somebody from your school. I ask that you please still do all the collaboration pieces online, even though it will be tempting to work face-to-face, but remember, the idea is to work online. So the project itself is conducting a psychology experiment. So you are going to act like a psychologist. This can be anything you want it to be. You can test anything you want to test. As you already know, everything encompasses psychology. Everything is part of psychology. So we will go through the different guidelines. There is a lot of details in here. So I have recorded one of our meetings, this one here, to put onto YouTube so you can refer back if you have questions about the project or the steps in the project. To begin with, a big overview. Oops, I didn't change that due date. I will change that quick here. It is a semester-long project, so it is due, fully due, by the end of the semester on May 5th, 2017. So the project is divided into sections. So there's 4 sections within the project. Each section I have designated a suggested due date. The due date has nothing to do with your grade or anything like that. It's just suggested. Is to try to keep you up because there is a lot to do. And because it is a semester-long project, procrastination is going to be so tempting. But there is a lot to do. So it's really important that you keep up and do not procrastinate, because you will not have enough time to get it done if you put it off till the end. So it is a collaborative project. You're going to be using the Google Drive, specifically docs, sheets, and forms, to work collaboratively online. And as I said before, the topic has to be related to a psychology topic or theory, but that is extremely easy to do. So no worries there. And so then the four steps that you'll be going through are learning about experimenting, preparing your project, preparing your experiment, conducting your experiment, and then analyzing that experiment. So when I put you into groups, there are only 6 students in this class, so I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make it 3 groups of 2 or 2 groups of 3. I'm still kind of playing with it all. It's all going to depend on the amount of students in class. So like I said, my goal is to keep it as online as possible and not have students working in the same school together. So you will find out on Monday. I will set up the groups this weekend, and you will get an email. You and your group members will get an email from me. What I do is designate one person in the group to be the point person. So this person is responsible for creating the Google Docs, for communicating with me if there's a group question or anything that needs handled. Anybody in the group can still communicate with me. I don't say that only they can communicate, but they're the ones that are responsible for creating the document and sharing the document with me. That way I don't get multiple documents and have confusion that way. So any questions yet? Okay. So the first section is the learning section. So this is where you are going to learn about psychology experiments. I suggest you get this done by March 10th to give yourself plenty of time to plan and conduct your experiment. And so you're going to go to this link, and I will click on it so you can see what it looks like. This is a psychology online textbook created by a Stanford psychologist. He does a lot of great videos and everything. His name is Philip Zimbardo. But in this, you're going to just go through the research methods part right here. So read each part, and you can click on the tab to go to each section, or you can click here to move to the next section. You want to make sure that you are looking up the vocab words and reading what they are about, and then checking your knowledge with the questions, and then moving on to the next section. So you want to make sure you go through each section, and move to my tab here. So you will do that individually. Each of your group members will go individually and learn about the different parts of psychology experiments. Once you have done that, you are going to come back to this sheet that your point person has made a copy of, and you are going to complete just this first column here, and you're going to write your own notes. So I want you to define each of these steps in the psychology experiment process in your own words. So as a group, you will define what each of these mean. Once you've completed your experiment, once you've planned everything out and you've completed it, you're going to come back and you're going to fill out the second column, and you're going to give me what your experiment's question was. You're going to give me a short description of procedures, a short description specifically about your experiment. So once you have finished that, then I want you to go to the research certificate. When we are conducting psychology experiments, it is very, very important that you understand the ethics that are involved in psychology experimentation. You're dealing with humans. You are dealing with very sensitive information. Sometimes because they trust you, they will tell you things that they have never told anybody else. And it is very, very important that you understand that you have to keep their information private. And so these are the things that you agree to, and you need to sign with a digital signature. You'll type your name in here and you'll send it to me saying that you understand these things. You understand the ethics involved in experimenting, because it is very, very important. Even something as simple, the reason why I do this is one of the first times I taught this class and I did this experiment, I had a student doing a seemingly harmless experiment on shopping patterns. And during her interview with a participant, he let her know that he was gay. And not even thinking about it, she didn't realize that he essentially came out to her. She told the rest of our class. And it just became this really awful thing. She got in trouble. I mean, it just, it was something. So you want to be very, very careful, because they are trusting you. You are conducting an experiment. You're acting like a psychologist. And it's very, very important that you keep, whatever they tell you completely private. So, even something as simple as that was just, kind of really fell apart. And she was devastated. She lost her friendship and everything. So, I mean, it was just a really difficult thing to go through. Along with that, so you agree to follow the ethics. When you have participants, they also must sign what's called an informed consent form. So this, in a sense, is telling them, promising them that you as this investigator, you as the psychology experimenter, will treat them ethically, that you promise that you won't hurt them, you give them the right to withdraw at any time, you give them the right to ask any questions, and you make promises to them. So those two things must always be done anytime any psychologist is ever participating in an experiment at all. And so, we're doing it on a much smaller level. Usually those consent forms are pages long because they involve all the details of the experiment and things. And I'm not asking you to do that, but you're going to go through the steps just so you can understand the ramifications of psychology experimenting. So the last part of the learning section, if you're interested, there is a thing called an experiment data sheet. It is just a helpful tool to help you organize your experiment. You are not required to do it. You are not required to turn it in. It's just there as a tool. So again, all of that I ask that you have done by March 10th. Any questions? Okay. Okay, so by March 24th, I want you to make yourself prepared to conduct your experiment. So this is your planning. This is picking out what you want to even experiment on. If you have absolutely no idea at all, there is a website here that is full of all sorts of psychology experiment ideas for high school students. So it's, a very simple, it looks at simple ideas, topics, things like that. If you want to use it, this is a table here that you can put, like if music is a topic of interest to you, or colors, or, family, childhood, childhood development, anything that's a topic of interest. And then over here, what are specific questions that you could test within that topic? You don't have to brainstorm on this. It's there just as a tool if you need it. If you don't, and you guys just want to, brainstorm together on your own through email or on a Google Doc, whatever you want, it's totally up to you. Then the last part, or not the last part, but the next part is looking at biases. And so one of the big things when you're conducting an experiment, it's very important to know that our perception can skew how we view the research. So analyzing each of these things that have to do with perception. So we talk about common sense. Tell me what is your definition of common sense? Talk about, can it be learned? How do we learn it? What is your definition? Really pay attention to that. Same thing with intuition. Look up hindsight bias, overconfidence, and self-fulfilling prophecy. And then again, kind of, just hitting again that idea of ethics. We want to be very, very careful that we're not hurting anybody or, causing any harm. So you'll do the bias and turn that into me. And then the last thing you'll need to do is what's called a lit review. So anytime anybody is conducting an experiment, they have to go and they have to research what has been done in the past. And so when I was conducting my own psychology experiments in college, I had to research like 30 different things. I had to find 30 different articles about my topic that I had to review before I could even start my research, because I had to see what other psychologists have done in the topic. So all I'm asking you to do is look up 5 different experiments or 5 different papers about your topic. And you can get this through Google Scholar or through EBSCOhost. And if you don't know how to log into EBSCOhost, your teacher librarian or your coach should have the password for EBSCOhost. It is provided through our Iowa AEAs, so you should all have access to it. But from there, you just need to find 5 articles that are related to your topic and read and summarize them for your literature review and your analysis. And so that is the last of the preparing that I recommend being due by March 24th. Any questions on that one?
No.
Okay. So then by April 21st, it gives you like almost a whole month, is the actual conducting of the experiment. So you have worked hard, you have got it all planned out, you're ready to go, you have a whole month to get it done. Make sure your participants each fill out or sign the consent form. The only thing I suggest in here is to look up this idea of statistical significance. So if you decide to do a questionnaire on some topic, somebody's favorite kind of music or something, and you only survey like 5 people, you're not going to get a lot of information from 5 people. You want to, think about, what will amount of people will give me a good idea of if it truly is going to tell me something or not. So, if it's something about music, I would say, survey 20 some people. But if you're doing something on child development and you want to observe one specific child to see if they are meeting all of the different levels of child development, well, that's statistically significant to review just the one. So it completely depends on the experiment on what is statistically significant. So I read through that to make sure you are planning enough people to make your experiment worthwhile. And so then remember, when you're conducting your experiment, use pseudonyms, keep your people anonymous. And then once you are done with all that, you want to go back to that beginning chart and tell me, right there it is, tell me where your experiment fits each of these sections. So any questions on the conduct part? Okay, last part, we're almost done. Okay, so the last part, this is the big part. This is actually writing your analysis. So I don't know how much more clear to make it that you are going to be writing an essay. You are going to be, and I expect it to be at least 3 pages long. So it's analyzing every step of your experiment. You're going to feel a bit redundant at times. You're going to feel like you're saying some things over and over a bit. But this is the format. This is the American Psychological Association, their requirement for how every psychologist is to analyze their experiments and publish them. So you will be following the APA format for writing your analysis. And so, like I said, it's a paper. You are writing a paper telling me about each of these steps. So it must have a title page, and the title page is not included in my guesstimate of about 3 pages. So the title page must include the title of the paper, your names, date, class name, and my name. And then on the next page is the introduction. And so the introduction is just a paragraph. And this is just telling me how you picked your topic and what background information you already knew about your talk before you started researching. So it's just a paragraph. And then you state your hypothesis. You state the essential question. What's that one thing you're testing? From there, you'll write your literature review. And each of these that are italicized here, these are headings on your paper. So you'll have introduction and then your paragraph written. You'll have research question hypothesis with the question underneath it. And then you'll have literature review with your paragraph summarizing those 5 articles. So when you have your literature review, and this is those 5 articles that you found. You're going to summarize what you learned from those articles, and then you'll move into your actual procedures. So you'll have, again, the heading of procedures, and then underneath it, the heading participants, and this is where you describe the people who participated. So you would tell me, you don't give me names, but you can tell me, age, race, urban or rural, tell me in detail, where did they come from? Who are they? But don't give me a name. And then the setting. So where did the experiment happen? So tell me all about, paint the picture for me in your paragraph. Where did it happen? What did it look like? What were they doing? And then what did you plan to do? So tell me the whole plan from beginning to end, how you're conducting it. And then your data collection, tell me how you collected all the data. And then tell me how you analyzed all your data. So as you looked it over, as you checked this, or you're looking for this, and then give me the statistics. This would be a good time to put in a chart or anything like that that you can get. And then the most fun part for me when I write these analysis are the conclusions. So the conclusions can be just, paragraphs of what did you find? Did you see this? Did you see that? And the cool part about psychology experimenting is it could completely bomb. You could find absolutely nothing out at all. And that's okay. It's still a great experiment. And because all you have to do in your conclusions is say, we messed up. We did this wrong, we did this wrong, we did this wrong. We would have done it, if we'd have done it this way, this would have happened, or if we'd have done it this way, this would have happened. And then what do you recommend for further testing? So then at the end of it, you have your references, and this is where you cite those 5 sources that you got from EBSCOhost or Google Scholar, and you're going to use the APA guidelines for that with citations looking one of those ways. So stressing again, this analyze piece, I ask that it is done a week before the May 5th time, simply because it's going to take time to, there is going to be editing. It is a paper. So if you hand it in on the last day and that school is out, you're going to get whatever grade you get. So there will not be time to review or edit or anything like that. So it's very important you give me some time to review it, because it is a paper. You are going to be writing, a research paper. You're analyzing everything. Any questions? No? Okay, I am going to stop it here.